Greece and the Sub-Saharan Africa, had in its board 4 of these gentlemen and ladies who were, I would say, Nigerian Greeks. These entrepreneurs gave the example, and their success became a valuable instrument to induce Greek businessmen to trade with Nigeria and export in Nigeria and invest in Nigeria. I had met a couple of them many years ago when I was in Nigeria, Lagos and Ibadan, for 1 month. And through my friendship also with 2 outstanding Nigerians, the late Joe Garba and Ibrahim Gambari, this helped me learn more and much about your country. Nigeria has a bright future, and it's due to its citizens, its men and women, and of course its resources. And its main resource, at this moment, crude oil, these days will help increase further the revenues of Nigeria, and even more when the refinery will be finalized in the very near future. I believe the economy will further benefit from the efforts of diversification, which the government is promoting in the last few years. But I won't take more of your time. I think is now we have the opportunity after the brief greetings from here to hear our friends from Nigeria to talk about the prospects in their country and the possibilities for Greek businessmen there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moussouris. I will give now the floor to Mrs. Maria Luisa Marinaki, Ambassador, Director General of the Directorate General for International Economic Relations of the Greek Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mrs. Marinaki, the floor is yours, and thank you very much for having accepted to attend our today's conference.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vassalanis. Dear Mr. President, honorable ambassadors, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends from Nigeria. It is a great honor to participate in this important Greek-Nigerian Economic Forum, a forum which takes place during one of the worst crises in Europe and the whole world in the last 80 years. In the midst of a brutal assault on a free and sovereign country without provocation, without necessity, with an immense humanitarian and social cost, and of course, with negative global economic consequences of insurmountable levels. In times like this, cooperation between nations becomes even more important, and economic and commercial cooperation is a key factor in creating stability and prosperity for our people. This forum is the perfect opportunity to discuss about a renewed partnership between our 2 countries, a partnership based on shared interest and shared values. In fact, Greece has a long history of strong engagement and close relations with African countries, which we currently look forward to enhancing and deepening. Just to remind you that our foreign minister visited Nigeria on the 10th of January of 2022, and it was the first, unfortunately, visit of a Greek foreign minister to Nigeria. Africa is poised to become one of the world's most important economic regions. And being the most developed economy in West Africa, Nigeria presents great potential for business and trade cooperation. I would like to stress the strong presence of the Greek business community in Nigeria, as the president just said, for 100 years.
From dispatcher.
Large Greek-owned companies have significantly contributed to the welfare of the Nigerian people, playing an important role in the national economy and becoming a steady linking bridge between our countries. Just to mention a few, Nigeria Flour Mills, founded by George Koumandaros, Mandilas Group, the British Hellenic multinational Patterson Zochonis, and of course the Leventis Group of companies. For Greece, Nigeria is the 2nd largest trading partner in Sub-Saharan Africa. Last year, Total merchandise trade was worth 120 million euros, with an increase of almost 80% compared with 2020. While these figures show that we are moving in the right direction, I'm confident that we can do much more to build our mutually beneficial trade and investment relationships. We aspire to become a reliable investment partner in a wide spectrum of areas, from infrastructure and energy, especially in the fields of electricity, connectivity, and networks, as well as renewables, to agriculture and even tourism. Our companies with significant experience to projects all over the world, including African countries, and specialized know-how can prove a valuable asset in the development of all types of urban and rural projects. It should be mentioned that the leading Greek company Mytilineos is currently implementing a major energy project in Nigeria, aiming to provide uninterrupted power to a number of federal universities and university hospitals across the country. Forging synergies with local companies and building on the unique added value of our expertise and best practices shall pave the way for positive forward linkages to the benefit of the local communities and to the benefit of the people. In this same framework, Greece can also contribute its expertise and best practices in the development of the agricultural sector in Nigeria. The primary sector in my country has traditionally proved of pivotal importance for our economy, especially with regards to the survival and welfare of our rural areas. We aspire to contribute in sectors which could address the major food security challenges posed by the aggravating effects of climate change, as well as the rising global prices of food products. One could endlessly ponder the potential for inland synergies, but the shipping sector is one of the main driving forces of trade as well. Greece, a world leader in shipping, also happens to be located at the crossroads of three continents, constituting thus, even from ancient times, a true hub for commerce and exchange. Nigerian exports can be channeled through the Greek ports towards the Balkans, Central and Eastern Europe. Our shipping companies have already expressed interest for synergies, both in terms of transport as well as in situ logistics at the Nigerian ports. We should jointly explore this interest as well, render it reality through tangible endeavors and support it to its full potential. There is so much we can work on together. Greece is also a very strong and vocal member of the European Union. It is worth noting that the EU is Africa's most important international partner. Besides, it is the largest trading partner of Nigeria and an essential source of foreign direct investments. This implies enormous opportunities and also enormous responsibilities. I'm extremely positive and optimistic about Greece's partnership with a dynamic and growing Nigeria. I believe our bilateral relationship will play a greater role in the future that we are building for our countries and our people. I look forward to hearing the constructing outcomes from this important forum. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Marinaki. I will give now the floor to Mrs. Opunimi Orikaba Akinkumbe, the ambassador of Nigeria in Greece. We are really honored that we have today with us the ambassador of the country having the largest economy in Africa. Mrs. Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, members of the board of the Hellenic African Chamber of Commerce and Development, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure on behalf of the government and people of Nigeria to welcome you all and to thank you for making the time to participate in this important conference. I wish to commend our hosts for convening this event. We appreciate your energy and interest in building bridges that connect Nigeria and Greece to our mutual benefit. The topic of this evening's conference, prospects and opportunities for Greek entrepreneurs for trade and investment in Nigeria, captures succinctly the mood of the moment and is in line with the desire of the Nigerian government to attract foreign direct investment and partnerships. We need you as much as you need us. And that is why we are excited to be part of a platform that brings together relevant stakeholders for important conversations such as this. We are not here to pretend that our nation does not face enormous challenges. However, the popular narrative, a very narrow perspective of doom and gloom, is a very myopic view of our great country and can lead one to miss out on the incredible opportunities that abound. I am convinced that the opportunities that remain largely untapped and the extraordinary possibilities that they present far outweigh the many challenges that we face. We appreciate the companies founded by Greek and Cypriot visionaries over 60 to 70 years, such as A.G. Leventis, Mandelas, and George Koumentaris of Flour Mills. Their continued presence through the good times and the bad times attests to the benefits that the Nigerian market has to offer. They have actually become household names that continue to invest, to thrive, and to create thousands of jobs in Nigeria and beyond. I'm pleased that Mr. Sadiq Usman of Flour Mills is here to share some of their experience, as well as Mr. Vangelis Kamaris of Medcap. The Nigerian government, through the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, NIPC, has come up with innovative ways to facilitate the ease of doing business in Nigeria. And I'm pleased that the Executive Secretary, Mr. Emeka Ofo, is here to address us today, particularly as we embrace a strategy of a Nigeria beyond oil. I hope you're as excited as I am about the lineup of brilliant speakers who play a critical role in our economy. Greece, as you are aware, is a maritime nation by tradition, and we are vigorously pursuing the ratification of the Maritime Bilateral Agreement currently. As we're all aware, sadly, the world today is dealing with a catastrophic war in Ukraine. Its attendant effects on precious human lives and livelihoods, as well as a global supply chains and markets, all happening against the backdrop of the COVID-19 pandemic, proves that no country can afford to be totally dependent on another for vital resources and markets. The need for greater collaboration cannot be overemphasized, as all nations must look to broaden their relationships. We view with much interest the Greek National Extroversion Plan, which gives significant focus to the African continent. I accompanied your foreign minister to Nigeria in January for his visit, which was very well received and underscores the importance with which our two governments view our bilateral relationship. On our part, at the Nigerian Embassy in Athens, we invite you to view us as your partner. Our Chancery remains a place for you to seek and obtain relevant information and connections. Our immigration team is one of the best, and we're very proud of them, and you can expect a seamless visa experience as you travel to Nigeria. Do pay us a visit. We would love to host you. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria is open for business. It is a market that you cannot afford to ignore. I invite you to take advantage of the wide range of opportunities that will be presented today. It is for us all to be proactive about turning these conversations and opportunities into concrete action and success stories to the benefit of both Nigeria and Greece. Let's move from talk to action. I wish you all a very successful evening, and I thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I will now give the floor to Mr. Ioannis Plotas. Mr. Moussouris, you want to add something?
I wish to thank the Ambassador of Nigeria. We are fortunate to have her here to represent her country. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moussouris. I would like now to give the floor to Mr. Ioannis Plotas, the Ambassador of Greece in Nigeria. I suppose, Mr. Protas, you are in Abuja now. So you are the first, you have the privilege to be the first to be connected from Nigeria. The floor is yours, and thank you so much for your participation.
Dear Mr. Vassarvanis, I'm the one who thank you to reciprocate on that. And dear Chairman, Mr. Moussouris, Ambassadors, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a particular honor for me to participate in today's event, giving us the opportunity to explore ways in order to intensify and solidify the relations between Greece and Nigeria, as well as to take the appropriate steps for encouraging companies from our country to invest in Nigeria. I take the relay from what Mr. Moussouris in his opening remarks has mentioned that Nigeria is a giant. Nigeria represents Africa's biggest market with a dynamic private sector economy, rich natural resources, as well as thriving creative industries. In addition, has a large cosmopolitan and young population, an active civil society engaged in all fields of life. Nigeria has for long seen a mostly peaceful coexistence between similar-sized Muslim and Christian communities. At the same time, the country, as the previous speakers have already mentioned, faces numerous challenges and is affected by instability, violence, and population growth and climate change. But we have to mention that Nigeria also has the dynamism, and this has been proven during the country's response to COVID-19 pandemic, which was very robust and with several recovery initiatives managed to counter the global downturn. In particular, the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan, which approved in June 2020, Nigeria managed to improve the economic situation. Actually, the GDP grew by 5% in the second quarter of 2021, representing the highest growth rate since 2014, followed by 4% growth rate in the third quarter of 2021. And the IMF forecasts for the current year a growth of 3.2 for Nigeria. The government also of Nigeria has recognized the crucial role of business. In the latest National Development Plan, which has recently adopted for the period 21 until 25, about 780 billion euros are expected to come from the private sector. But nevertheless, foreign companies operating in Nigeria continue to face certain obstacles to carrying out their business. For that reason, Nigeria must make its business environment more attractive to investment and find ways to further diversify its economy away from oil dependence, for instance, by investing heavily in agriculture, access to power, energy efficiency, digitalization, and infrastructure. Agriculture is the backbone of the Nigerian economy, providing the main source of livelihood, contributed about 22% to the nominal GDP. Notwithstanding a number of policies adopted by the government, the sector does not produce the needed quality and quantity of the output, and nor does it create jobs for the country growing young labor force. And in this context, the doubling of the population in the next 30 years will create enormous challenges for food security, deployment, and country stability. Despite its abundant renewable energy resources, solar, hybrid, wind, just to mention a few, green energy contribute about 18% of total power available on the grid. It is a sector where the Greek companies, the Greek entrepreneurs can make the difference, can do it more in order to facilitate further the economy of Nigeria. Green economy also and circular economy have proven profitable areas of investment and a source of sustainable job creation. We are looking, ladies and gentlemen, at the future with optimism, and particularly this optimism, to speak frankly, has been created after the visit our Foreign Minister, Mr. Nikos Dendias, has paid to Nigeria in the beginning of this year. My friend and colleague, Ambassador Nimia Kinkube, was present in Abuja at this period of time. And this visit has, I'm sure, that has further enhanced the political, economic, and the cultural bonds between our two countries. For decades, we know very well that the presence of prominent Greek entrepreneurs in Nigeria has been a solid foundation of cultivating close ties between our two countries. During the meeting between the two foreign ministers, Mr. Jeffrey, His Excellency Mr. Jeffrey Oniyama, by himself mentioned the name my previous interlocutors have mentioned, Mandilas, A.G. Leventis, Koumantaros. That means the essence of the presence of Greece in Nigeria has a particular source of that. The EU and its member states are considered also worthy political interlocutors for the federal government, for the state government, and the civil society organization. The EU engagement, I would like to mention, is very active on that in different domains, like the good governance, like the human development, like the security issue. And also over the last 2 years, and particularly as of the beginning of this year, many officials have come to Nigeria. The most recently was the Executive Vice President of the European Commission, Madame Vestager, and also members of the European Observers Mission of the EU, who recently received from the Nigerian government an invitation in order to attend the upcoming elections. But apart from that, in order to come to my last point, I would like to mention that we received recently the invitation for the EU Nigerian Business Forum, which is scheduled for 30 June until the 1st of July of the current year. The focus of this forum will be twofold: the business climate and government initiatives to stimulate investment and diversification, and second, agriculture and agribusiness. Saying that, and within this framework, I urge from my capacity as Ambassador of Greece to Nigeria, our companies operating in Nigeria to participate in this forum, and will be an opportunity for them to engage in a dialogue with the key Nigerian stakeholders. And I would like also to suggest that we have to reach out through the intervention, I think, of Dr. Moussouris, to our national trade federations and business associations in order and urge them to participate. It goes without saying that their presence will be a unique opportunity to explore further the business climate, as well as to increase the visibility of Greece to Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Protasis. I think it's very important to hear the voice of the Greek state in Nigeria. And thank you very much for having shared with us all this information. I will now give the floor to Mr. Vasilis Kotsis, the Vice President of the Greek-Nigeria Chamber of Commerce and Technology. We're very happy that probably the most dynamic bilateral chamber is today here with us and represented by Mr. Kotsis. Mr. Kotsis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Vachardani's. Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, Mr. President of the Board of the Hellenic African Chamber of Commerce and Development, esteemed speakers and dear participants and friends, it is my honor to be among you all and participate in your event representing our chamber. Its chairman, Mr. Michael Economikis, who unfortunately cannot be here with us due to his traveling outside of Greece, our board of directors, as well as our members. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact that especially nowadays, more and more Greek business people affected one way or another by the various different crises in the world are searching to find the new, what we call roads of silk ways and places where they can trade and invest, expanding and creating long prospects for their businesses. And what a better place than Nigeria to explore business and investing possibilities, as Nigeria offers, among others, the following advantages. It is the largest economy in Africa, as well as the biggest country in terms of population, with approximately 200 million people, which is 20 times bigger than Greece, if you think about it. It is a country developing and growing every year, providing unlimited possibilities for success, open to new ideas and investments. Has a labor force of over 80 million people, 50% of which has the age between 24 and 44 years old. English is the main language used all over the country. It is a friendly country to do business, having a very good investment support framework. A country that is trusted by numerous foreign businessmen and companies activating in Nigeria since many years ago. A lot of them coming from small countries like Greece, or are direct competitors of Greece and Greek products in the global market. But most important, it is the fact that Greeks and Nigerians are closer than we think in mentality, culture, way of living, and doing business. It is proven many times that when Greeks and Nigerians work together, something good always happens, starting many years ago with the huge success stories of Greek families in Nigeria, like Mandar, Leventis, and Mandilas, to the recent example of the Antetokounmpo family. On the other hand, there are difficulties and challenges to be faced. But is it not like this for every beginning, especially in a foreign country? Somebody has to be serious, persistent, and patient, which are the keys to any success, together with a good business plan. Ourselves at the Greek-Nigerian Chamber of Commerce would like to thank you for inviting us to the webinar in an effort to make Greek businessmen aware of the wide prospects and numerous opportunities of trading and investing in Nigeria, as well as in Africa in general. Our chamber, since its birth in 1999, has been working hard to promote bilateral business and investment activity between the Greek and Nigerian private sector, having on board people with experience in various sectors of economy, as well as doing business in Nigeria. We bring interested parties together, facilitate the sharing of knowledge through workshops, business luncheons, seminars, trade fairs, and missions, as well as other activities that aid trade and investment. It is very recently, in November 2021, that we have organized in cooperation with the Nigerian Embassy in Greece, our annual investment forum. That it was a 2-day event attended by top representatives of the state and business world from both countries, and which recorded in detail business opportunities creating sectors like agriculture, aquaculture, ports and terminals, education, housing, construction, and cyclical economy. I'm proud to say that that was an event that was completed with very big success and very important participation and discussion. Moreover, it was an event that made clear to all of us that there is genuine interest from Greek business people to find new business ways, and that the Nigerian authorities are ready to welcome and support new investments from Greece in multiple market sectors. That is why we're happy to announce that the third train mission to Nigeria is being programmed to happen in 2022, following the very successful one we had back in 2015 and 2018. Details of the new trade mission will be communicated to all of you as soon as traveling days and programs are fixed. I would like to thank for one more time the Hellenic African Chamber of Commerce and Development, and especially its president, Dr. Moussouris, for inviting us into today's event and to call upon the Greek business community to be bold, take the extra step needed, and join us in Nigeria and Africa in general, writing their own success stories. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kotsis. I will now give the floor to Mrs. Vicky Makriani, representing the SED, Hellenic Federation of Enterprises. Mrs. Makriani is the Senior Advisor, Export Ready of SED. Mrs. Makriani, thank you so much for having accepted our invitation, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Vassardanis. Your Excellencies, dear guests from Nigeria, dear friends and participants, on behalf of SEV, I would like to thank the Hellenic Chamber of Commerce and Development our partner in Sub-Saharan Africa, for hosting today's meeting on business opportunities in Nigeria. SEV is the largest business network in Greece and plays a leading role in the country's transformation into a productive, outward-looking and competitive economy. We have a very broad membership, including the largest corporations in Greece, and we are continuously working to expand our trade and commercial ties with our business partners around the world. Today's initiative aims to further promote trade and business relations with Nigeria, to explore deeper collaboration, as the ambassadors have mentioned already, between Greek and Nigerian businesses, to strengthen the relationship already in place in our quest to create jobs and wealth in both of our countries. It is true that Nigeria is a dominant economy in West Africa in terms of population and GDP, and now is the continent's largest economy. Our two countries share a friendship born in recent times, relatively recent times, but our friendship is not complicated by the burden of history, and this is very important. Large Greek-owned companies have been operating in Nigeria for decades. Ms. Marinaki have mentioned some of them. We have traditional ties in shipping, with Greek-owned tankers playing a very important role in shipping Nigerian oil and natural gas. And Greek-controlled companies have invested billions in the Nigerian market. Looking at our trade figures, it is true that the trade balance between Greece and Nigeria is negative for Greece, and the volume of overall trade is moving at very low levels to a mere 1,016 million euros. And this low level is exactly that we are here to improve today. An important economic development is that you have recently put emphasis in diversifying in your economy. This can help the Greek companies to find positive ground for doing business and to seek new partnerships in Nigeria. Concluding, just a few words on the developments of Greece. The Greek economy is on the path of recovery. In the years to come, growth is expected to gather momentum towards a sustainable 2.5%. Unemployment is coming down gradually. Exports are on the increase, regardless of COVID, hopefully. Economic adjustment and structural changes have made Greece more business-friendly and have created significant business opportunities. This great challenge for Greece now, for Greece now is to stimulate trade and investments. I strongly believe that in every meeting, in every exchange, there is an opportunity. Prospects for investment and joint cooperation between our two countries exist already in multiple areas, such as infrastructure, energy, construction, building materials, agriculture, pharma, and food. Ladies and gentlemen, all of us here today, Greeks and Nigerians, have the same core vision: to get to know each other better, to explore new opportunities, to establish relationships that will be solid and long-term, so that we can conclude business agreements that will expand trade and growth for both our countries. I wish you all success at today's meeting, and thank you once again for your hospitality and time.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Makrogianni. I will now give the floor to Mr. Dikos Vasiliou, member of the Executive Board and responsible for international relations of Commercial and Industrial Chamber of Athens. Mr. Vasiliou, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for having accepted our invitation.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Dear President, dear guests, in my capacity as member of the Executive Board and responsible for the international relations of the Athens Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ACCI, I would like to welcome you to today's virtual conference and thank you for your participation. Today's event aims at exploring possibilities for further cooperation between Greeks and Nigerian on mutually beneficial terms for the both countries. It is organized by the Hellenic African Chamber of Commerce and Development under the ACCI 7 and 7. Nigeria is Sub-Saharan Africa's largest economy and relies heavily on oil as its main source of foreign exchange and guest in government revenues. Nigeria's economy growth has also been driven by growth in agriculture, telecommunication, and other services, while at the same time its economic is projected to grow by 2.9% in 2022, based on the expected recovery in crude oil prices and production. Ladies and gentlemen, concerning our diplomatic relations with Nigeria, they are very good due to the strong political ties between our two nations. However, regarding our economic relations, the volume of trade remains very low. The trade balance between our countries turned positive for Greek during the last years. We mainly export to Nigeria oil products and we import natural gas. Thus, there is great potential for further improvement in our trade relations, in particular in sectors that we focus on: construction, building materials, energy, IT, and other services, pharmacy. Ladies and gentlemen, our principal concern is to encourage and enhance the extrovert character of the Greek companies, with a view to strengthen our countries' bilateral relations. In that respect, I assure you that our chamber, as the biggest chamber in Greece, will continue to work in close cooperation with you in order to improve and develop our bilateral relations even more. Thank you for all your attention. Thank you.
I would like to invite Mr. Panagiotis Hassapis, Executive Vice President of Greek Exporters Association, SEVE, to take the floor. Mr. Hassapis.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank and congratulate the Hellenic African Chamber of Commerce and Development, and more specifically, Mr. Moussouris, for organizing today's virtual conference. And Africa is a continent of great importance for the Greek exporting community due to the numerous trade and investment opportunities that have already been developed and will further develop in the future. Undoubtedly, the African economy was severely hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, but the same goes for all economies of the world. We have visited Nigeria together with SEV and EVA in 2019. Nigeria, which is Africa's largest economy, but shrunk by 1.9% in 2020, expanded, although by 3.4% in 2021, and it will show a steady economy recovery with forecasts claiming a 2.9% growth for 2022, as my friend Nikos Vassiliou stated before. The importance of the Nigerian market for global trade is depicted by the growth in trading volumes. During the past 20 years, Nigeria showed a great upward trend regarding the world imports from 9 billion euro in 2001 to 19 billion euro in 2008 and to 46 billion euro in 2020, almost 6 times more. China, the US, and India are the most important trading partners, with their share amounting to 29%, 9%, and 8% respectively. On the contrary, Greece's share of Nigerian total imports amounted to just 0.3%. And Greece mostly exports mineral fuels, approximately 25 million euros, 40% share, nuclear reactors, boilers, machinery, in general, 9 million euros, approximately 15% share, articles of base metal, plastics, and tanning. There are several fields in which we could and should develop our bilateral trade, and especially in sector in which Nigeria shows a great importing activity. Some interesting examples are machinery products with an import value amounted to 8.6 billion euros, and pharmaceuticals with 2.5 billion euros value. According to a McKinsey study, China and India supply 70% of the sub-Saharan Africa's demand for medicine. In addition, Nigeria imports a lot of food and beverages, specifically fish, 1.1 billion euros imports, and dairy products, 750 million euros imports, in which we have great variety of products. In addition to the above, Nigeria's world imports on services amounted to 17 billion euro in 2020 and hit an all-time record in 2019, amounting to 35 billion euros, with trade-related business services being the most important category. These figures illustrate Nigerians and Africa's great prospects for trade and investment. Based on forecasts, Africa's economy is expected to grow 6% in 2030, and this is why it's considered to be one of the most promising continents in the world for the upcoming years, and especially the sub-Saharan part of Africa. In the recent years, Greek exporters showed their capabilities in international trade and illustrated great resilience to challenges such as COVID-19 and the several cost increases that were imposed. The result of this resilience and professionalism was the all-time record of 40 billion euros exports in 2001. We consider this achievement as the beginning of a new export-based period for the Greek economy, in which we want to expand our cooperation with promising markets such as Nigeria. SEVE is the largest exporting association in Greece with more than 800 company members, a turnover of approximately 40 billion and 20 billion exports, 60,000 employees. And as such, we take great responsibility in exploiting new business opportunities and creating channels of cooperation. In the same context, we have coordinated and co-hosted several business forums, as I said before, the webinars for the sub-Saharan Africa and Nigeria in the past, and this is what we will continue to do in the upcoming years. I hope that this webinar will be fruitful for everyone, and I would like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hassapis. We have just now concluded the introductory part of our conference of today. I would like to know that it took us some more time than anticipated to conclude that first part of the conference, but in my view, it was worth hearing something much more than simple brief greetings. And in this respect, I would like to thank very much all the speakers until now for their valuable contribution to our today's conference. We will now start the main part of the conference, and allow me to remind to all the speakers that they have just 10 minutes each one at their disposal. The first speaker will be Mr. Emeka Romanus Ofor, Acting Executive Secretary, CEO of Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, NIPC. Thank you very much, Mr. Ofor, for having accepted our invitation. We are very happy to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Unfortunately, Mr. Emeka Ofor wouldn't be able to join us, but he has mandated me to represent him. My name is Oladipupo Barua. I work at the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. I'm a deputy director, and I'm the text officer for the Greek economy in the commission.
So allow me to ask you to forgive me for not having
no, it's okay. It's okay.
mentioned that you would replace Mr. Ofor. However, we are equally happy having you with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can you please give me the opportunity to share my presentation? Can
Please, please do it.
Okay then. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm aware that I have only about 10 minutes to make the presentation, and I want to stand on existing protocol. I also want to acknowledge the presence of the ambassador, Nigerian ambassador to Greece, and the Greek ambassador to Nigeria. Your Excellencies, good afternoon. And to all other distinguished guests on the platform, very good afternoon to you all. A lot has been said about the relationship between Nigeria and Greece and the extent to which the opportunities abound in Nigeria is quite a lot has been said about that too. And in the context of what we have in the last 2-3 years, COVID, the disruption of global economy, and how the economy has evolved gradually from the restrictive nature that we had in the last 2 years, and how the economy has continued to adapt to evolving strategies that the MNCs and other multinational corporations are bringing up, have shown that globally, the economy is resilient, and one of the resilient economies that you can ever think of investing in is the Nigerian economy. I can assure you that the Nigerian economy is very, very vibrant. Nigerian economy is quite resilient, and we're at NIPC ready to support any Greek investments that want to invest in Nigeria. It is also very instructive that less than 4 months ago, we were in Greece talking about the annual investment summit that is organized by the Nigerian Greek Chambers of Technology and Technology in conjunction with the Nigerian Embassy in Greece. And this also shows that the Greek interest in Nigeria is quite very, very insightful to us in NIPC particularly. And we are very, very encouraged that the Greek investors are looking at Nigeria as a possible outlet to come into Africa. A lot has been said, like I said, about the relationship and the prospects of Nigeria, and more importantly, the outlook or the existing trade pattern between Nigeria and Greece. As you can see from my slide and from all the reports that have been given, Nigeria is one of the major trading partners of Greece in sub-Saharan Africa. And more importantly, Nigeria also considers Greece as one of its major partners within Europe. As has been said earlier, Europe is a major outlet for Nigerian goods, both for import and export. The Nigerian ambassador made mention some of the challenges that are inherent in the Nigerian economy. A lot has been written about it. Nigerian government is not oblivious of it, and I don't want to start saying or start enumerating some of the challenges that investors are bound to confront or to be confronted while doing business in Nigeria. But it is worthy to note that the government is doing a lot about it, and the government is also very, very concerned about addressing a lot of these challenges, ranging from the infrastructural decadence or insufficiency, and into the administrative procedures and all what have you. And interestingly, it is good to note that even though the World Bank's report has been a lot contentious in the last few years, but it's instructive to note that The last report that was written by the World Bank Doing Business Report 2020, actually noted that Nigeria is one of the most improved investment environments in the world. This is quite encouraging for anyone that wants to come and invest in Nigeria. I want to assure you that the Nigerian government is doing everything possible to ensure that investors are welcomed, investors are made to be very well at home in doing and going about their investment prospects. Why do you need to invest in Nigeria? It's quite a subject to talk about. Why should you invest in Nigeria? But I want you to note one thing. If you are not in Nigeria now, you have to be in Nigeria tomorrow. Tomorrow is your best time to be in Nigeria if you are not presently in Nigeria. You can ask the Nigerian flour mills, you can ask Leventis of this world, you can ask other Greek investors that have been in Nigeria and how it has been profitable and why they have retained their investments in Nigeria. If you are not in Nigeria, which other country will you rather be in Africa? In Nigeria, we have strategically located, you have very good young and vibrant tech-savvy population. You have a resilient and growing agricultural sector. You have a very vibrant private sector that are willing to partner with you in all fields to make your investment a worthwhile in Nigeria. The bureaucracy also is being a lot tackled with to ensure transparency and accountability is brought into form. So you have an economy that is strong, you have a private sector that is growing in size and bounds, and you have a bureaucracy that is being made to be more transparent by the day. And this gives you a mix that is just right for your business in today's world. When we talk about the size of the economy, when we talk about the demography of an economy and how young an economy is, I will tell you, Nigeria is one of the youngest economies you can talk around in today's world. We have a population size of about 206 million people, but most instructively is that we have a median age of just about 18 years old. That means our economy is relatively young, a young economy that is very, very high-tech driven. We have an economy that is quite adaptive to technology. We have an economy that is growing in its capacity to use its human resource for industrialization, for cultural resonance, for tourism, and all other sectors to which the Greek economy is also well known for. Where are we located in Africa? And are we actually ideal gateway for you to go into Africa? I will tell you yes. We are just an approximate equal distance away from the northern part of Africa to the southern part of Africa. We are located almost at the midpoint of Africa, as you can see, and we have a market size that is the biggest in Africa, but also we have a control size of the West African region, which gives you the opportunity for you to locate your investment in Nigeria and use Nigeria as your hub to reach into the Western African and down into the Southern Africa. And it gives you the opportunity also of the language. In Africa, we have a lot of English-speaking nations, and with AfCFTA in place, you now have the whole of the 54 economies as a free market region for you. Locating yourself in Nigeria is just as good as you being at the center of Africa. And that gives you the ability to move your goods and services across the length and breadth of Africa. These are already some of the Nigerian businesses that are already taking the advantage of the Nigerians proximity, or should I say Nigeria's location in Africa, and the Nigeria's strength within Africa to expand their businesses across the length of Africa. These are some of Nigeria's big enterprises, like I said, that are not only operating in Africa, but are also outside Africa. So you have a pedigree, you have a private sector that is willing and that is strong enough to support your businesses if you need a partner in Nigeria. What are the opportunities? In NIPC, we are looking at investments that are responsible. Responsible in the sense that they are ready to operate within the rules and regulations of the Nigerian economy and global investment climate. We also want investment that are inclusive in the sense that they are ready to integrate existing businesses, existing SMEs, and also integrate the existing strengths that are within Nigeria. We want businesses that are balanced in the sense that they are ready to utilize the existing capacity within the country and ensure that the businesses are sustainable in the long run. We don't want short-term businesses. We want businesses that are ready to stay with us for the long haul. Where are these investments? Where are these opportunities? What are the opportunities? Nigeria remains an agrarian economy, yes. We are very strong in agriculture. We have both the top, from the northern part of Nigeria down to the southern part of Nigeria, you have a gradual shift from the savannah region down into the tropical region. And in the middle belt of Africa and of Nigeria, you have it that you can actually grow all forms of agro produce in Nigeria. If you want the temperate agricultural produce, you can actually cultivate that in the middle belt of Nigeria around the Jos Plateau region. And if you want the tropical products, you can actually grow them down within the western part of Nigeria and the eastern part and the southern part of Nigeria. So the opportunities abound. In terms of industrialization, Lagos, the western region, and across into the eastern region of Nigeria, you have a variety of industrial activities taking place around there. Talk of the automotive industry, the garment making industry, talk of oil and gas in the southern part of Nigeria. You talk of animal husbandry in the northeastern part of Nigeria and the northwestern part of Nigeria. So the opportunities abound across Nigeria. And to make this possible, to make it easier for investors to appreciate the opportunities and be able to do a location benchmarking, NIPC has actually produced a document that we call the Book of States. What we have done in this document is to present the opportunities in each of the 36 states of the Federation into a single page and allow investors to benchmark these opportunities across the states and determine which location or which state best suits their investment prospects. To support these investment opportunities, Nigerian government have put together incentives, fiscal incentive to support the investment, to ensure that investors actually have a support mechanism that makes them to want to invest in Nigeria. Primary among all these is the Pioneer Status Incentives, which is a tax holiday that grants you between 3 to 5 years tax holiday. By the way, our corporate income tax ranges between 20 and 35%. As I round off, I would like to talk about my organization, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. What do we do? The Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission is primarily charged with the responsibility to encourage, promote, and coordinate investments in Nigeria. So what do we do exactly? We present information, we present Nigeria as a viable investment destination, and we also try as much as possible to give unholding support for investments, for investors that have indicated interest to invest in Nigeria. We also go through the length to ensure that investors that are willing or that are looking for joint partners in Nigeria, we support them by doing what we call assessments of the Nigerian investors and as well as the foreign investors to ensure that everybody actually have a meeting point and are able to forge a relationship that could metamorphose into a thriving business relationship. These are some of the publications we have produced to ensure that investors have the right information, the accurate information, and real-time information that will ensure that they take decisive and informed the investment decisions in Africa, in favor of Nigeria. This information are available on our website, www.nipc.gov.ng. You can actually access the website and download many of all this information that you have on board, as well as many more. This is the process.
Baruba, sorry, I'm interrupting you. Your presentation is extremely interesting. Please take into consideration that you will have 2 more extra minutes.
Thank you very much. I'm just about rounding up. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you.
Okay. We are particular about serving the investors. We're particular about ensuring that investors have access to us. So our one-stop investment center now is available online real time. So you can actually go to our website and access NIPC investment one-stop investment center and process all your investment entry requirements right from Greece. Submit all your documentations, and in Nigeria, we'll be able to pick them up electronically and assist you to formalize your investment. NIPC is always ready to assist investors that are willing to invest in Nigeria or that are invested in Nigeria. So please kindly contact NIPC as your first point of call when you are looking for where to invest in Nigeria, and we'll be able to take you through the process of investing in Nigeria and support you through your investment aspiration and ensure that your investment becomes a reality in Nigeria. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be looking forward to answering any further questions that you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Baruba, so much for this valuable information you shared with us. I am sure there will be people who will be interested in what you said and will contact you in the near future. I will now give the floor to Mrs. Solar Hammond, Special Advisor to the Governor of Lagos State on the Sustainable Development Goals and Investments. Thank you so much for having accepted our invitation. Mrs. Hammond, the floor is yours.
Very good afternoon, and thank you very much. I'll just take a quick moment to share my screen. Great. So good afternoon, President, the Ambassador, especially the Ambassador of Greece and our own dear Ambassador of Nigeria to Greece, Mrs. Akikube. Please allow me to rest on the existing, already established protocols so that we can keep this quick. It's been a very interesting afternoon, and I thank you all for the opportunity to be able to share some insights on Lagos and the investment opportunities in Lagos. So Lagos, really what is driving us, and we're driven by a sense of urgency, is the desire to ensure that Lagos is established as a modern 21st century megacity and a leading light in Africa That's really been defined by the governor, Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, and is really the mandate that's driving all of us and our activity in Lagos. Lagos is known in Nigeria as a center of excellence. It's the heart of Africa. I think Nigeria and a little bit heart-shaped, but I think Lagos is the heart of Africa. Lagos is one of the wealthiest cities in Africa by GDP, of course. Really a city of superlatives and a state of superlatives. 7th fastest growing city in the world. As we like to say, if it was a country in Africa, it would probably be the 5th or 6th largest country, despite of the fact that it's a very small land mass. So to put it in context, if you compare, Lagos is maybe 30–40% larger than Athens, but it's got about 6 times.
Mrs. Hammond, can you hear us? Unfortunately, we cannot hear you. I suppose the connection has been interrupted. Can you hear us, Mrs. Hammond? Let's wait for a few seconds, and if she cannot join us again, then we have to.
Yes, sorry.
Please.
Great.
So good.
Yes.
Please continue, because
yes.
we have been interrupted and we didn't.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, it was the internet. So I was saying that Lagos is quite comparable to Athens in size, only about 30% larger, but has 6 times the number of people that you have on the Athens metropolis. So you can imagine the density of Lagos. Lagos is considered the commercial, industrial, financial hub of Nigeria, also now the digital hub of Africa, with the highest number of startups and the fastest growth in the startup ecosystem. We also are the home to MSMEs, so we have about 16% of the small businesses in Nigeria concentrated here, and about 10% of the micro enterprises. So a significant amount of the economic activity that happens in Nigeria happens in Lagos. About 30–40% of the economic activity in the country is here in Lagos, and about 50% of non-oil activity happens here. For us, the secret weapon, we think, and I think the representative of the Executive Secretary of the Nigeria Investment Promotion Council said it best when he talked about Nigeria's talent pool. Lagos is actually the largest pool of young, skilled, educated entrepreneurs and workers. Okay, so I should go back up one. So of course, Lagos, like many other cities, have seen a lot of global issues. We've talked a little bit about the COVID-19 interruption of global, and of course, the unfortunate war and tension that's ongoing in Europe today. Those all have fallen to us here in terms of increased prices, uncertainty, challenges with even accessing refined petroleum products and other services. We've had a couple of nationwide recessions over the last 5–6 years, and significant devaluation of the Naira. So there's been a lot of challenges that Lagos has had to deal with, especially in the last 4 years. However, with resilience, innovation, and grit, Lagos has remained the top investment destination in the country. With significant revenue performance, more than almost 3/4 or just about 3/4 of the revenue that the state relies on to fulfill its mandate to the people is internally generated, which has kept us a little bit better insulated from the shocks that come, especially macro shocks we've just talked about. Lagos has also remained the hub of investments. So according to the NIPC, the Nigeria Investment Promotion Council, between 75 and 86% of the capital inflows into the country have come from foreign direct investment, have come into Lagos. So that shows you just how much investment is pouring into Lagos in spite of the circumstances. Indeed, all of these have come together to lead to an improved financial rating. Last year, Lagos's rating was from AA+ to AAA, which is one of the first for us in the country. So we're really quite proud for being able to achieve that. So how are we driving this activity? Lagos has relied on the themes development agenda, which has been the agenda we have set for the past 3 years up until next year as the way that we will resolve the megacity challenges that we face. It's traffic management and transportation. That's the T in themes. H stands for health and environment. The first E for education and technology, tourism, which is especially where our young people are thriving, and then security and good governance, because without those, you really won't have much of a city. The themes agenda has been mapped to the global goals. So we're working with the SDG framework very strongly, which our agency is responsible for mainstreaming and making sure that that drives all our activities. So for example, Lagos, we just received our green badge for the work we're doing on RT. We also made a net zero commitment at COP26 and in working on several human capital initiatives. And so we're working very, very seriously with the SDG framework and have mapped indicators and targets to our themes agenda. Some of the initiatives, so as we talked about the themes agenda, there are a few big, large ticket initiatives, some of which will be leading into the investment opportunities I'll be discussing today. So the first is in the area of traffic and transportation management. You can imagine the traffic gridlock in Lagos is legendary, even though I think we've experienced worse in New York, but it's an area that we have had to work assiduously as a state to address. In spite of the fact that there's so many people, the 90% of the traffic proudly been able to start one of the few or the national rail lines. So Lagos is working on 2 rail lines at the same time, the red line and the blue line. For those who may follow Nigerian news, you'd have seen us proudly go to buy some trains from Milwaukee, which will be coming into Lagos in July for eventual operation by December of this year. So Lagos, with that, just those 2 lines, we target that they will move about 500,000 to 1 million people each. You can imagine how much burden that takes off the road. So that's the Lagos Multimodal Traffic Management and Transportation Plan. We've also been investing very significantly in the area of health, trying to put in place health insurance, working with the private sector, establishing special centers for mother and child care, building new general hospitals and primary healthcare centers, as well as specialist facilities. So for those who know Nigeria, it's estimated that about $3 billion every year is outsourced in terms of in health tourism. So Nigerians going to other countries to access good quality healthcare, and we're working assiduously to reverse this trend. On education and technology, we've made significant investments marrying those 2 together. So infusing technology into our education and putting in technology as part of our education teaching so that more and more people can become digital natives, support by creating the solutions that we need. Lagos is laying a 6,000 kilometer metro fiber infrastructure and fiber optic network. We've done the first 3,000. We're also establishing the largest tech campus in Africa, working with other technology companies, some of the world's largest global technology companies, also working to put in place with them new data centers, and all the infrastructure that's required to power this digital that we've been working on. We're also training teachers, infusing technology into schools, and we're beginning to see some of the results of that. In terms of making Lagos a 21st century city, we've been working on ensuring food security. I think someone mentioned that earlier. So you can imagine how many mouths are to feed in Lagos, but 70% of our food is actually imported into the city, whether it's from other states in the country or from outside the country. So this doesn't speak very well, especially with all that we're seeing going up prices of wheat products going up. So we've been working assiduously to establish a more food secure state. We're building the largest rice mill in the state. Just 3 days ago, we commissioned a massive wholesale and logistics hub to start to bring sanity to the food system. We're working on several red meat and seafood value chain initiatives, as well as other things for grains and vegetables.
Mrs. Hammond, in light of the connection problems you faced and also the very interesting content of your presentation, please take into consideration you have 2 extra minutes if needed.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank
so
you.
Yeah, so that's on making Lagos a 21st century city. We also have to house all of these people. So working on housing infrastructure as well as the road infrastructure and improving all of that. Entertainment and tourism, as I mentioned, very critical for us. So we're working with private sector to train the young people to come in and be able to do more than just acting, but fill up the other gaps that are there in entertainment and tourism, as well as working with them to build centers where these talents can be showcased. Last but not least, we're making massive improvements and investments in security and governance, building a smart city, as well as working on our legislation to make sure that it can support what is required. So the business opportunities, I'll just skip through these. I've spoken about some of these, but I'll just go to one slide, I think, that encapsulates them a little bit better. So there are many opportunities, in short, in Lagos. We've talked about traffic management and transportation. Lagos is one of the states that has done really well with PPP, public-private partnership, in terms of developing infrastructure. We have a lot of projects ongoing now with the private sector, and there are a lot of opportunities in there to do roads, to do bridges, and to do other forms of infrastructure. Of course, to support the rail lines. We're finalizing Red and Blue Line by December, but we have 4 more lines on which we've asked for expressions of interest. So these are opportunities for partnership. I also talked about waterways, so opportunities to partner with us, ferry services, as well as last mile delivery mechanisms. On the environment side, Lagos generates an estimated 11,000 to 14,000 tons of waste every day. So you can imagine what it would take. So there are very many opportunities in waste to energy and waste to wealth solutions. I talked about education. We're interested in partnerships around technology solutions for this, as well as vocational training and technology training and sports. On the healthcare sector, all of those initiatives we've talked about, hospitals, specialist centers, these are all opportunities for partnership with us. Entertainment and tourism, we're building a film city. There's not enough hotel bedrooms in Lagos. They're not enough. We don't have a global standard international conference center. So there are many opportunities, as well as, of course, to work with us on our historic sites. And last but not the least, on technology. So we've laid this fiber. Now we're working on the data centers, on the security equipment that will support that initiative. Or those initiatives. A lot of the deal opportunities in Lagos have been codified. I think the DG for the ES for NIPC mentioned the Book of States. We have then taken that further and drilled down those 10 opportunities, the key investment sectors in Lagos, and drill down to specific deal opportunities for each of them and codify them into what we've called the deal book, which we launched in November 2021. So that's available to all potential investors in Lagos. Now to say, he also welcomed you to Nigeria. We welcome you to Lagos. Lagos is very committed to ensuring it's easy to do business here. Lagos excels at some of the doing business measures. So Lagos is the #2 place in the country to start a business. And we're working assiduously to improve in all other regards. We've established a Lagos Ease of Doing Business Council that's chaired by the Deputy Governor of Lagos State to work towards improving our performance and also providing a platform through which we can connect with the business sector. So for those businesses who are operating in Lagos, I'm sure they can testify to the fact that there's a very strong dynamic between the private sector and the Lagos State government. We collaborate together, we speak together, and we work together to address issues. We are also implementing a one-stop shop to also make sure that it is easier to do processing in Lagos. Our location will be going live by the middle of the year, and hopefully we'll have 3. So last but of SCG and investment remains the Lagos State Investment Promotion Agency, and we work very strongly with the NIP. It's our job to liaise with you, to liaise on your behalf with ministries and to us, and we facilitate any requirements you have dealing with the regulatory agencies. We support you as you make your new investments in Lagos. We work with you to provide resolution on issues. We share with you information and help you understand the regulatory environment. We can introduce you and facilitate new partners. I love particularly what the NIPCES said about integrating, including smaller businesses, and also, of course, these one-stop shops that we'll be rolling out, all towards making sure that it is easy for you. I think I will just round up and thank you very much for the opportunity. Of course, if you wish to contact us, our website is here, email addresses, and all our social media handles, as well as those for the Office of PPP. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hammond, for this valuable information regarding Lagos, a key city for anyone who would be interested in doing business in Nigeria. It's now time to hear someone representing a company being one of the most important ever Greek investments in Nigeria, and a company being one of the biggest brands in the food and agro-allied industries in whole Africa. It is with great pleasure that I welcome Mr. Sadiq Usman, Director Group Strategy and Stakeholder Relations of FMN Agro-Allied Flour Mills of Nigeria. Mr. Usman, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Yanis, and good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be with you all here today. And thank you very much to Mr. Masouris and the Hellenic Africa Chamber of Commerce and Development for the invitation. Very much appreciated. Our ties at FMN, as we like to call ourselves today, and the Greece go back a very long way and are very multi-layered, as many of the people on this call would know. So it's a particular pleasure for me to be here addressing you all today. Thank you very much. Because of time, I have a presentation. I would, with your permission, skip some of the slides. But essentially, the theme of what I'm going to speak about in my brief remarks are about transition. I think we're very much going through some transition, not only in the global context, which I'll come to, but also in the regional context, particularly with the AFCFTA, as Mr. Barua and some other people have already spoken about today. But also on the macro context in Nigeria, there is a transition. Politically, as you know, we are in the process of an administrative transition, which should hopefully culminate in a new administration in 2023. And on the macro side, there's some necessary reform transitions that need to happen, and even on the external side, which I'll touch on. And we as a company as well, we're undergoing a transition as well. We're transiting from a primarily B2B business to a B2C, a more consumer-focused business. We're also transiting from a largely Nigeria-dominated business to a more regional business, and taking the strengths and the learnings that we've had operating in Nigeria for the last 62 years. We're as old as the nation itself. So we have tremendous experience and knowledge that we can lend to the rest of the region. So if I move on to this slide, just to speak to the macro context, it may not look like a particularly pleasing slide, but it also shows what I think is the potential. We're recovering from our second recession in the last 4-5 years, but it's been a much faster recovery in this recession that we've had, that has been particularly driven by the COVID pandemic. So this is not untypical with many countries across the world. And the recovery has been quite robust so far. And it very much looks like we're getting back to the kinds of growth rates that we witnessed pre-2014, as you can see from the left-hand side of the slide. But these are all predicated on some necessary critical reforms that need to take place. And I'm pleased to also note that the manufacturing industry, in which we play a prominent role in, is one of the sectors that has demonstrated a very strong growth rate. These are the challenges. On the left-hand side, inflation. This is primarily being driven by one of the global transitions that I spoke about. The conflict that is going on in Ukraine is very much driving inflationary pressure in Nigeria, just as many parts of the world. But this is inflationary pressure in the case of Nigeria that was also preceded by certain local conditions, particularly in the price of food and disruptions in the global supply chain. And we expect to continue seeing these disruptions play through in the next 12 to 18 months, not only in terms of commodity prices, but also energy supplies. And this is likely to be a significant factor for us who are in the manufacturing industry. The other that has been with us for a little while now is the misalignment that has continued to play out in the external balance. Given though that oil prices have continued to rise, but we are not yet seeing the positive impact, even though as a significant or major oil producing nation, because of some volatility in output. And that has implications, obviously, for the external balance of the country. Just wanted to highlight here, because it's a common misconception that, yes, we are an oil-dependent economy for government revenues, but we are a very diversified economy. And I would just like to use this for the balance of my remarks to highlight, I think, three sectors: the food and agro sector, in which we very much play in, the technology, ICT sector, which has been growing tremendously over the last few years, and the oil and gas sector, where, based on my little knowledge of Greece and Nigeria, I think these are three intersections that I believe present tremendous opportunities for Greek investors in Nigeria in the medium to long term. I wouldn't dwell too much on this because the gentleman from NIPC has spoken about the opportunity in the food and agricultural space. I would just highlight that 56% of Nigerians spend their incomes on food. And this is only likely to grow in the context of weaker purchasing power, at least in the short term. Our sizable population is very well known. And so the case is really made. But what are the imperatives and investment opportunities by implication for this necessity of investing in the food space? I think there's significant work that needs to be done on yield transformation, reducing post-harvest losses, improving systemic efficiency, particularly in relation to transport and infrastructure, and more resilience against volatility, such as what is playing out with our wheat imports from Russia and Ukraine, and our overdependence on imported fuel. This is what I talked about. In terms of technology, I think this sector particularly the telecommunication sector, can be considered as Nigeria's best evidence of its capacity to do reform and do good reform. For anyone who has followed the story of the sector over the last decade and the trajectory of that sector shows you what is possible in Nigeria. And it has gone beyond that in laying a backbone, indeed, for the emerging multi-sectoral tech ecosystem. We now have at least 2 unicorns in Nigeria, in Flutterwave and Paystack. I urge you to do some research into these companies and their growth trajectory over the last few years, but see the potentials that come in that. In technology, particularly in the area of healthcare and telemedicine, I think there's tremendous potential here. And COVID-19 and the focus on diagnostics has further heightened this opportunity. Education, Nigerians love education. There's a tremendous opportunity there to go beyond the traditional bricks and mortar classrooms in providing technology-based education. Agriculture, which is more an area where we play. There's a tremendous opportunity, I believe, in data, artificial intelligence, aggregation, farm-to-market access, delivery of extension services, and indeed credit to the agricultural sector, micro-based credit. And in the distribution space, I spoke about the transition that we are having from B2B to a more B2C, consumer-focused business, with expending tremendous resources in building our route to market. We have over 100,000 points of sales in the country, and this is growing. There's a tremendous opportunity to invest behind the whole ecosystem, behind customer trader linkage, alternatives to cargo movement using terrestrial infrastructure, and data collection and dissemination. In the oil and gas, I don't need to tell people in Europe of the need to diversify from traditional sources. Interestingly, Nigeria is more of a gas nation than a crude oil nation. This is not very well known, but there's tremendous opportunity to invest in the gas ecosystem, particularly with the recent passage of the Petroleum Industry Act. This has been a law that's been over 10 years in consideration. And I believe that with the law, there's tremendous opportunity to harness Nigeria's vast gas reserves. I believe it has the 7th or 6th largest gas reserves in the world. There's a particularly well-known bottleneck that we suffer in the power industry, but gas, investment in gas and the domestic gas infrastructure accorded by the reforms that are going on there, I think provide a tremendous opportunity. The other is linked to the transition that I spoke about, the global transition to renewables. One of the sectors that's doing extremely well in the country today is the renewables, particularly solar and other renewable sources of power generation. So a little bit about flour mills, just to end. We are, I believe, reasonably well known to the Greek community with Greek ownership and heritage, having started in 1960, along with the birth of the nation. We have over 21 production sites in 27 locations across the country. We primarily operate around 5 core value chains in 4 segments. the food, sugar, agroallied, and what we call our supporting services. We directly engage over 15,000 people across the country. We've listed on the stock exchange and have been so since 1978. And we're well on track to be, $2 billion company, over 1 trillion naira in revenues by the end of this financial year. I've mentioned the key value chains in which we operate. We have significant investments all across these value chains and in the supporting infrastructure. It's a price of doing business in Nigeria sometimes. It's a difficult market to do business. I'm not going to sugarcoat things, but there's tremendous opportunity. We've been here long enough, and to end with that, on the transitions, I say it's difficult because there's a lot of opportunity to take. There's a lot to invest behind it. There's a lot of dynamism behind the market. Things are constantly evolving, things are constantly changing, but there's a lot of entrepreneurial spirit. There's a lot of competition as well in many of these value chains. But competition, I think it's always a good thing because it spurs innovation. So with that, I would once again thank you all for the opportunity to make a few remarks. I encourage you all to explore Nigeria. We at Flour Mills are always ready and willing to accommodate and guide our fellow Greek investors as they make their way to try and understand the market. We're ever ready to partner, collaborate, and support you as you look at Nigeria as an investment destination. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Usman. It was of major importance to hear someone representing a company doing business in Nigeria for more than 60 years. And I would like also to add that you have correctly pointed out that the three sectors you mentioned, food and agro, technology, oil and gas, are also of equal importance for Greece and definitely for Greek companies. I would like to give now the floor to Dr. Basir Yamoh, Director General, CEO of Nigeria Maritime and Security Agency. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. The Excellency, the Greek Ambassador to Nigeria, and Her Excellency, the Nigerian Ambassador to Greece, while standing on existing protocol, let me express Dr. Jamu's profound apology for not being here today. He actually is attending to a very important national assignment in Abuja, the seat of the federal government of Federal Republic of Nigeria. He just actually called me to represent him at this meeting when the meeting had already started. But I've listened to all the presentation, and all the previous speakers have actually spoken on the general macroeconomic environment in Nigeria, and they've spoken very eloquently about it. But if I can just briefly, without taking much of our time, limit it to the micro aspect, which I know the Greek also have huge economy of scale, which is the maritime transportation. I'm aware that Greece is one of the top 3 ship-owning nations in terms of fleet value and deadweight. And there are opportunities in that sector for Greece as well. Already we know that INSB operates in Nigeria, which is the class, the Greek class. The International Naval Survey Bureau operates in Nigeria, and it's one of the classification society that Nigeria actually recognizes. Now, Nigeria, as a ship-owning nation, unfortunately, does not really have a number of tankers that actually transport its crude oil, whether medium-sized, from medium-sized tankers to VLCC or ULCC. At the same time as the most populous country in Africa, we're also very much import dependent. And most of our cargo are actually also either imported or exported by foreign carriers. And that's actually a problem for our balance of payment position and balance of trade position, especially. Now, the areas, I'm sorry I don't have a slide presentation because, like I said, I was just called immediately after the meeting has started to make a presentation. But of course, we can collaborate in the following areas. One, area of maritime safety. The Hellenic Ship Register can collaborate with the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency in the area of technical aspect, training surveyors on flag state implementation procedures and policy control implementation measures. Of course, you can also collaborate in the area of security, maritime security, which is very key. Nigeria currently actually coordinates the Deep Sea project, but at the same time, because it's a very vast area, and I do know that recently, because of the coordinated maritime presence of the EU member states, and the Deep Blue project implementation, piracy has actually reduced in Nigeria and the Gulf of Guinea. So these are also areas we can look up to as areas of collaboration. Ship repair and shipbuilding is also another area. I do know that the DG NIMASA is actually talking, I don't know whether it's been finalized, with the arrangement to manage the floating dock with the Greek company and the Nigerian Port Authority and NIMASA, for them to manage the floating dock, which was built for Nigeria from Romania. I also feel that collaboration could exist between Nigerian ship owners and Greek ship owners, most especially in the area of bareboat charter, with option to purchase. Nigeria has depth of actually ships, whether medium-sized vessels or large vessels, whether tankers or medium-sized tankers or general cargo vessels, container vessels. We have very few Nigerians that have these vessels. And I believe Nigerian ship owners and Greek ship owners will collaborate in the area of having a bareboat charter ranging from 3, 4, 5 years with option to purchase, which will give Nigerian opportunities to purchase these vessels eventually, either before the bareboat charter period expires or immediately after the bareboat charter expires. There can be a financing arrangement. I do know that Nigerian banks, quite a few Nigerian banks, have the capacity. I was once registrar of ships, and I do know that Nigerians do charter vessels from Greece, and at the same time, Nigerian banks have also financed acquisition of vessels from Singapore and from Netherlands, from Singapore, from Yemen, and from Norway. So these are areas the Greek ship owners will also look into and collaborate with Nigeria so that Nigeria can also build its own fleet. And of course, maritime training and education is also very important. The Hellenic Register has enough capacity in terms of the technical people, surveyors, captains. So building capacity for Nigeria in this area is also very, very key. That is all I can say for now, but I guess we'll try as much as possible, talk with the Nigerian ambassador to Greece and develop more on these areas of collaboration and investment opportunities. Thank you very much indeed.
sorry. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdulsalam, for this presentation, very interesting presentation, and for having successfully replaced Mr. Yamo. So I'll give now the floor to Mr. Wole Adeniyi, CEO of Stanbic IBTC Bank. Time to hear some information about the banking sector in Nigeria, a key sector for any kind of investments and for businesses in general.
Thank you and good afternoon. I'd just like to pay remarks to the ambassador, the Greek ambassador to Nigeria, and our own Nigerian ambassador to Greece, Mrs. Akinkugbe. Good to see you and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the president also. I would just like to talk briefly on Stanbic IBTC. I'll do a quick introduction of our bank, and I'm going to ask my colleague, given the brief around what are the opportunities for trade and investment in Nigeria. And my colleague Miwa Oni will come up and do justice to that. From a Stanbic IBTC perspective, we are the most diversified financial services holding company in Nigeria. We have 11 key subsidiaries, and we are part of the Standard Bank Group of South Africa. Standard Bank Group of South Africa is the largest financial services company largest bank in Africa, and they own Stanbic IBTC about 68%, and Standard Bank also is indirectly owned 20% by Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, 20%. So Stanbic IBTC in Nigeria, we see ourselves as facilitating trade between the biggest economy in Africa, which is Nigeria, and South Africa, which is the second biggest economy in Africa, and then China, which is the second largest economy in the world. So that's our heritage, ownership, and parentage. But as in Nigeria, we have 11 core subsidiaries, and in these 11 core subsidiaries, just to mention to you that in about 7 key areas we are clear market leaders in this. In Nigeria, we are the biggest asset management company with an asset under management of over $2 billion. We are also the biggest stockbroker company firm in Nigeria. When you want to buy shares on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, we've been number 1 now for about 15 years. When you talk about volume and value of trade done on the exchange, we are also in Nigeria number 1 when it comes to provision of FX or global market services. Outside of the Central Bank of Nigeria, we are the biggest provider of FX. And in the last 5 years, we've facilitated over $30 billion of FX inflow into Nigerian economy. What makes us to be number 1 in that is actually number 2 outside of Central Bank is what we actually a global destination for foreign portfolio investors. We are the biggest custodial services provider in Nigeria. 60 to 70% of foreign portfolio investors coming to invest in Nigeria actually come to us. So asset under management on that basis is over $10 billion. So when you see foreign companies coming to Nigeria to invest directly, not from a direct investment perspective, from a portfolio investment perspective, whether it's fixed income, money market, other instrument, we are actually number 1 when it comes to those provision of those custodial services. We're also the number 1 when it comes to pension fund manager. We are currently we have asset under management of over 4 trillion with the highest number of RSA clients in Nigeria. Over 1.9 million of those are actually we manage those funds. Maybe the 6th one I will say, and which is our roots, and the Honorable Ambassador Excellency is actually part of the Stanbic IBTC family. She worked many years ago, and with our investment banking capability, when you're talking of financial advisory, you're talking of debt capital market, you're talking of corporate finance, we are the #1 investment bank in Nigeria. That is under our subsidiary of Stanbic IBTC Capital. And we've won many awards in that year on year, not less than 20 awards every year we win, because that is actually our DNA and our root. And I'll make bold to say that we're also the #1 when it comes to, from a retail and SME services perspective. And in the last review that was done for Nigeria, we actually declared #1 from a customer experience perspective when it comes to retail and SME. So when it comes to, and we are done that across different segments of our business, where it comes to consumer and high net worth, what is talking about personal banking, we're talking about small and medium scale enterprises to large corporates and to multinationals. We actually have the capability to support these services. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to yield the floor to my colleague, Muyiwa, who's just going to take us through some of the macroeconomic outlook and speak specifically to trade an investment opportunity for Greek businesses in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wale, and good evening, Your Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen. So to talk briefly to our views on Nigeria and the trade landscape, I will highlight our GDP outlook, so growth outlook. There's been some conversations around the macro environment, but we'll present what we expect over the medium term, views on inflation and monetary policy as well. We'll talk briefly about the budget and fiscal position. So can you please read if we're not talking? Thank you. And then also present the FX environment, and then talk about the trade landscape and some opportunities in that space. I think for expectations on GDP growth, and Sadiq from Flour Mills already highlighted how the non-oil sector has been a key contributor to the Nigerian economy. And going into this year as well, our view is that the non-oil sector will continue to drive economic growth. So unfortunately, even though the oil sector has been a primary contributor to government revenues and FX liquidity, the oil sector has been shrinking for some time now. So output from a production point of view has been underperforming. And so from a growth upside or surprise point of view, if production picks up considerably, then we could see GDP growth peak above expectations of 2.9% for 2022. And I think what's been positive so far when we look at growth trend and recovery in the economy is that on the consumer side, you've actually seen businesses able to transfer prices to consumers and still see some element of sales growth as well in spite of those higher prices. So unlike before the pandemic, when a number of consumer companies and manufacturing companies struggle to raise prices, we're seeing a change in trend. But one can argue that the recent challenges that we're seeing with high energy prices, the power shortages in the country could be having some negative impact and could slow down some of the growth. So we already saw with inflation, for example, where inflation peaked, went higher in February to 15.7%, and was driven partly by the petrol shortages. So you've seen transportation costs go higher. And our view going into the rest of the year is that inflation averages around 15% before coming off slightly in 2023. And based on that as well, our view is that from a monetary policy point of view, things are likely to stay constant for some time, and the monetary policy authorities focusing more on other means to stimulate the economy and also still try to curb inflationary pressure. So for some time now, we've seen the central bank apply high cash reserving ratios to mop up liquidity in the system, and at the same time focus on targeted intervention to look at sectors that they see as priority and then try to target low cost interest rate loans to such sectors. And we suspect that that will continue over the medium term. And to our view on inflation, we clearly see some upside risk. So we think weather conditions are a big upside risk. The electricity situation could be negative as well. And I think given the geopolitical tensions, particularly challenges we're seeing in Ukraine and Russia currently, that's having a negative impact on energy prices. And that could spike inflation further, given that diesel is a big transport fuel for food in particular, and that could be negative for food inflation. Then we think the insecurity situation as well continues to challenge that food belt and food production. So those in our view are some upside to inflation. Can you mute
Please switch off your microphones.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so for the debt and fiscal position, I think for some time now, there's been that challenge or question around debt sustainability of the country. And when one looks at the country's debt position from a debt to GDP point of view, it clearly looks reasonable and decent and sustainable. But when we look at the revenue side and impact of debt service on revenues, it's clearly a challenge. And I think the current low production in oil has also added to that challenge as well. And so if we're not able to pick up our revenues considerably, that continues to become a challenge. And so if one looks at the 2022 budget, for example, and expectations, it's easy to see how one continues with a higher deficit figure, and which would mean more borrowings, and from an interest rate point of view could mean higher interest rates as well, particularly for longer term securities like bonds. And so our view going into the rest of the year as well is that interest rates could stay high, particularly because we see increased borrowings. And I think for trade businesses, FX is a critical area. And for some time now, particularly since the pandemic started in March 2020, we've had FX challenges as a country. And the central bank for now has been the primary supply of FX. We've seen foreign portfolio flows reduce considerably because of that limited FX. And for now, our view is that from the foreign portfolio side, they would largely stay out of the market, with a number of them still trying to exit some of their funds. And so if we're not able to see some flexibility from the FX market through reforms, that our view is that this situation continues, and until we see and apply a much more flexible approach to the FX market before we start seeing some improvement in liquidity. And I guess before talking to some trends we've seen in the export side in particular, I'll just highlight a few risks we see, particularly going into the election season. And it's a trend we've seen in the past as well, that going into elections, you see reforms in inertia. And so a number of reforms which in our view should improve the state of the economy, one could see some slowdown in that. So for example, the Petroleum Industry Act that was already signed into law, we could see some slowdown in implementation of that. One could also see some delays in FX reforms as well, just because of concerns of what further currency weakness could mean to inflation. With petrol subsidy, there's already been some postponement on the removal of that. And given high oil prices as well, it's difficult to see how implementation of that won't result to...
Mr. Roni, time is over. You have one more minute, please.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I guess before I round up, just wanted to flag and highlight export trends, and so non-oil exports in particular, because if one looks at the split, oil exports is still a key contributor to to Nigeria's exports, the non-oil sector part still accounts for about 10%. And I think it's easy to see how that trend continues for some time unless one sees further reform. So just to end my presentation, our forecast for GDP growth for the year is 2.9%. We see a slowdown to 2.2 next year, just more because most of the improvement we're seeing for now is still base effects from recovery post the pandemic. We see on the currency side a gradual depreciation, just more because of the approach of the current central bank. And from an inflation point of view, expect an average of 15% this year and ease to about 12.5 next year. So thank you for your time. And suppose if you have any questions, you could reach out to us.
Thank you so much, both Mr. Adeniyi and Mr. Oni, for their very interesting presentations on the Nigerian banking sector and generally on the Nigerian financial environment. I hope there will be questions either at the end of this conference or later on, because as I've told you, this is just the starting point of a discussion which will, I wish and I believe that it will continue. It is with pleasure that I welcome my colleague, Mr. Baba Alokoralo, MD of the New Practice TNP law firm. Dear colleague, thank you for having accepted our invitation.
Hi, good evening or good afternoon. Thank you so much, Yanis. Good evening all. Sorry, I think I'm about 3 hours ahead, so I keep saying evening, but it's afternoon where you are. Your Excellencies, the voice of the Greek state has spoken, the voice of the Nigerian state has also spoken, and I seem to be somewhere down the middle of both states. Why do I say this? I got my first George Dallara CD in 1998. Very opportune to have got that. I love his music. I have several Greek friends. I happen to have the unique opportunity of representing, I think, maybe 3 of the Greek companies on this panel today. I know their success stories. I know what it means to have run a company for 60 years in Nigeria. I also know what it means to have run a company in Nigeria for less than 2 years and have a capitalization in excess of some of the biggest banks in the country. Nigeria truly is about opportunity. Nigeria has tremendous opportunity in several sectors. And I will share a simple story with you. It's a story that many expatriates that come to work in Nigeria do not share with their nationals. A common story that happens is an expatriate gets to Nigeria, and the moment he gets there, the local expats tell him, when you go back, do not tell them we're actually having a lot of fun here and things are really great. This is the true story, a really, really true story. Now, Nigeria could be a tough country to work in, but as you all know, with several challenges come opportunities. Yesterday, I don't want to call him a madman. It takes a certain level of madness to decide to spend $20 billion on a petrochemical plant. And that's what the richest Black man, the richest African has done. And why has he done this? It's not because he's mad. It's because he's seen the potential and opportunities in the petrochemical sector. He's going to deal with bankers like Stanbic IBTC. He's going to ensure that the dollars that come into his company are freely repatriated outside the country. So let me just have a brief conversation with you as to how working in Nigeria operates. Nigeria welcomes you all, as the NIPC Director General's rep told you. Nigerian law actually says to you that you can come, bring your foreign exchange, invest it, and you can freely take your foreign exchange out. You may have heard of some bad and poor stories of people losing money in Nigeria. Rest assured, 90% of those businesses that have been attempted and have lost money in Nigeria were largely not legit businesses. Legitimate businesses that have come to work and operate in Nigeria, like the Flour Mills of Nigeria PLC, when Papa George came several years ago with the likes of Aris Plitas and co. Aris, anytime I see him in Greece, he still misses Lagos. He talks about suya. So if you want to know how Nigeria really works, speak to some of the guys in Greece. Your Excellency, Madam Ambassador, I think it would be good to have a forum where you have some of us actually, that operate and represent these guys, come up to Athens and have a talk shop and have people like Iris, have people like Basil Mandilas, who was born in Lagos, went to St. Saviour's School, Ikoyi, actually come up and speak as to how Nigeria was then. And some of us can tell you how Nigeria is now. I have contemporaries, we have younger people that are in the business space, and the bankers will tell you they've invested largely in the financial technology space. And they have become one, two, three of Africa's 7 unicorns. Now, what is Nigeria saying? There is a dearth of financial services. So fintech is catching up with traditional banking. Technology bridges the gap that the next generation requires in abundance. Now, we have, in terms of infrastructure, construction, there are not that many internationally competitive construction companies in Nigeria. But when Europe was going through a downturn and recession, we didn't see the Europeans bringing their construction companies in. To be honest, ladies and gentlemen, there's quite a bit of money to be made in Nigeria. But you have to be bold to do this. You have to be tenacious. That is why the likes of Papa George, that's why the likes of John have been able to sustain their businesses. That is why the likes of Basil has been able to transform his business. And I say that is why that's the same reason why people like Vangelis can come to Lagos and be in Abuja. When I hear Vangelis talk sometimes, he sounds more Nigerian than I do. He knows more business people than I do most of the time. So you will ultimately write your checks, but you must learn who we are. Let me say very briefly, LRA, you've got this PAME, you've got to go. And ultimately, when you're done and you get your check and you repatriate your funds, you say, Baristo, thank you. In that city, we're done. And truly, Africa is the next destination for investment. It's saturated everywhere else. But I'm not going to ask you to invest blindly. You've got to do your homework. There are a few guys ahead of you. Greece was always ahead. You've got a history. I say to you that for your future, to make that future is also going to be history someday. You need to make bold steps. I don't have slides to share with you, but I have stories of people I have represented, businesses that I represent, businesses that I continue to represent that are doing significantly well and are being productive and profitable working in Nigeria. And they're foreign, a number of them are Greek. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you so much for inviting me. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Dear colleague, dear Baba, if I'm allowed, I would never expect a lawyer to speak in such a way. And the only thing I can do is to thank you so much for this presentation, quite, I would say, unique, but in any event, very, very interesting. So I would like now to give the floor to Mr. Martins Aroge, time to hear someone from one of the big fours. Mr. Aroge is a partner of KPMG Advisor Services. Dear Aroge, thank you very much for having accepted our invitation to attend this conference and speak.
Thank you very much for having me. And I hope everyone can hear me. Unfortunately, I have I'm coming at the end of a long list of illustrious speakers. And so it would happen like that some of the things, or most of the things I wanted to talk about, a number of them have already captured. And I know that we're also running behind time, so I will try as much as possible to repeat what others have said, and just add any additional information or concept that I think will be of value to the participants today. So I wanted to speak on the overview of Nigeria's economic and fiscal indices. What are the particular prospects and opportunities that we see in the country today? Okay, so I will be skipping a lot of items on my slide And just to ensure that again, like I don't repeat a number of things that have been said. I think this was also said. If you look at the oil sector and the non-oil sector in Nigeria today, even though the oil sector contributes about 70% to government revenue and 90% to foreign exchange, its contribution to GDP has continued to shrink. And as at 2021, that fallen to about 7.24%, compared to the non-oil sector, whose contribution to GDP has remained constant at about 90-something%, even though in terms of contribution to government revenue and foreign exchange, it isn't comparable to what you have in the oil sector. Now, the reason isn't very far-fetched. GDP measures actually activities within the country. So, and the bulk of the activities, or the bulk of the revenue from oil, literally don't remain in country. The bulk of the revenue goes out of the country. Nigerians sought to try and address that when we passed laws called the Nigerian Oil and Gas Content Development Act, which was meant to, in effect, localize oil and gas servicing and ensure that we keep or we maintain in country a major chunk of the revenues from the oil sector. Well, that obviously hasn't worked a treat, given that we've seen that in terms of oil and gas contribution to GDP, it's continued to dwindle. And then when you then consider the fact that even in terms of production has dropped, primarily because of vandalization and oil theft, the amount of services that are required has also continued to drop. But we are hopeful that as government begin to address those key issues, theft and vandalization, the activities would also pick up in the sector, coupled with the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act, which many players have held as the reason for not investing in additional reserves or finding additional reserves down the years, because of the uncertainty around the regulatory and fiscal framework guiding the industry. And that has been settled. Everyone knows what the regulatory and fiscal framework would be, even though there is still some consent as to when the effective date of implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act will be. But it's clear there is a focus on building gas infrastructure. There's focus on building gas infrastructure under the PIA. They are very, what I would say, very good terms for gas. And we are hopeful that those terms will see people begin to make investment in gas. Because again, the fulcrum of our economic development is primarily having to get right our power sector. Nigeria is a gas enclave, and if we get gas right, it would also help drive growth in the power sector. And with that, hopefully, we can then begin to talk about economic development and industrialization as a country. Okay, I'm just going to skip through some of this slides. I will just talk briefly about the socio-cultural environment and consumer purchase considerations in Nigeria. Now, if you look, I've tried to demonstrate on this slide what are the major factors that drive consumer purchase in country. And you see from the slide that 23% is primarily driven by price. Price, it's the largest determinant of consumer purchase, of what people will spend money on in country. Following price are features and then function. And then you also have packaging, availability, and then others. So these are the things that typically drive consumer purchase considerations in Nigeria. So if you're looking to come and invest in the country, you would know that three things that you should properly consider will be functions, price, and also the features of whatever you are selling in country. And then in terms of factors that influence product preference in Nigeria, I think the most important one right now in country is social media. And then after social media, you talk about friends and then family. So those are the three factors that influence product preference in Nigeria. And that's useful information for anyone coming to invest in country. Now, in terms of also workforce, Nigeria's population has always been one of its key strengths, having a significant number of people. It provides you with both labor and also with markets. So it's one of Nigeria's key strengths. The availability of I would say semi-skilled to skilled labor in large numbers. People have talked about the quality of education in Nigeria and how our universities don't primarily prepare people for the workplace. But I don't think that that's correct. A lot of us left straight from Nigerian universities into the workplace. A lot of Nigerians are leaving from Nigerian universities into workplaces in Europe and North America because with the high rate of migration that we are seeing today, and they are excelling. So we may not have the best form of education, but like the last speaker spoke about, what Nigerians have is resilience and that ability to quickly get up to speed when placed in difficult situations and circumstances. So that workforce is available. They may not have all of the required technical skills, but they can be easily upskilled to get to that point. And that's one of the strong factors you found in Nigeria. Now, I'll just talk briefly about some of the investment incentives that we see in country that might also drive the choice of investment. Now, we have what's called free trade zones in Nigeria. These are basically areas where we expect to see industries set up. There are the tax rules don't apply there. People who operate from free trade zones are allowed to import goods directly into the free trade zone without the payment of any duty. So it's basically to create a network of industrialized companies that are focused on the export market and then grant them specific tax incentive, duty waivers, levy waivers that just help them focus on their core business. You have the currency retention scheme. I think the last speaker already spoke about that. Exporters can open and maintain foreign currency DOM accounts into which their proceeds can be paid and retained and also easily repatriated from those accounts. We have the Export Development Fund, the Export Expansion Grant. All of these are schemes that are geared towards encouraging people to invest in export-oriented business in the country. There's also the Duty Drawback Suspension Scheme and the Manufacturing Bond Scheme. We also have what's called the Pioneer Status Incentive. It's a 5-year tax holiday that is available to people that invest in industries that we, in a sense, consider pioneer in Nigeria. For an industry to be considered pioneer, what that means is that it's either new or it's not being done in large scale in the country. So we're looking to incentivize people to invest in those particular industries. And one of the things you will get is a 5-year corporate income tax holiday, including tax-free dividends from all profits made during the pioneer period. We also have reduced tax rate for small companies, which may also be zero depending on your revenue size. If you're looking to invest in gas, I've said before that Nigeria is a gas enclave, and we're looking to incentivize gas production. There are also specific incentives that we have made available to companies that are looking to invest specifically in gas production, gas processing, and gas utilization. So it's not just only production, it's across the entire gas value chain, processing and also utilization, including the use of gas for power plants. Nigeria also has significant infrastructure challenges. It's not yet to rule for us, and government is also government resources are not limitless. So government is looking to get private sector players to also invest in helping us scale up some of our infrastructure deficiencies, and that's why we've introduced what we call the road infrastructure development and refurbishment investment tax credit. It's primarily a scheme that encourages companies to invest in road infrastructure and then be able to recover their cost plus an uplift through the tax that they pay on an annual basis. I'm going to skip this. It's very little time. I would have loved to spend some time talking about this, but I think it was the Stanbic speaker already spoke about this, or at least briefly. And I'm sure that this slide will be made available, so I'm going to just skip the Finance Act provision. But what exactly is the Finance Act? over the course of the last 3 years, Nigeria has made significant changes to its tax and regulatory laws. And these changes are primarily made to drive investment in the country, bring the laws up to date, and make the country's investment profile as competitive as possible when compared with the rest of the world and Africa specifically. So we've had Finance Act 2019, the Finance Act 2020, and the Finance Act 2021. All of these have introduced some changes that whose primary objective is to ensure that we continue to be a major player and a major investment destination in the African continent. So I won't be able to go through the details of these changes because of time. So I will end here where we try to do some SWOT analysis, basically to highlight what the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats are for businesses in Nigeria. And strength, I talked about population, which then translates to a significant market. The market that you have in Nigeria, there are very few countries where you have that kind of market. We also have a very, very large middle class, people with I won't say significant, but with at least relevant purchasing power. That's why I first spoke about what are the purchase considerations for these people. Nigeria can serve as a West African hub. It has a unique place where you can access several West African countries from Nigeria, Ghana, Benin Republic, Niger, Chad, Cameroon. So in terms of West and Central Africa, we share a border with most of the countries spread across the region. And then resources, natural resources. We have significant amount of natural resources from oil and gas to bauxite, barite, bitumen, gold, whatever you want, it's available in terms of resources. And so we have a very thriving extractive industry. And it's not only oil and gas, mining has also become a very big thing in the country. In recent time, we also have iron ore in Nigeria. Now, in terms of weaknesses, I think the key one is our power supply. And also, yes, purchasing power, which is why I said we don't, relevant and not significant. So purchasing power can always be improved. So that's a weakness. But again, that's something that would also improve as FDIs begin to come into the country. A lot more people get employed, and a lot more people are able to also better their living standard. Their purchasing power would also increase. Bureaucratic bottlenecks is a significant weakness. But thank God, because of the work that people like the NIPC are doing, and the Presidential Committee on the Ease of Doing Business, it's helping to also, in a sense, break down some of these bottlenecks. Poor transportation system, that's also a significant challenge. But like you heard from the speaker from Lagos State earlier, that's something Lagos State is also looking to address. It's still a challenge, it's still an issue, because we then struggle to be able to move resources from wherever they are mined to the markets where they are needed. But that's something some states are already taking the lead on, and Lagos State is the prime example with the rail projects that is already in the works. In terms of opportunities, mining is very key. There's significant mineral resources in Nigeria that we haven't properly exploited, and that is a very significant opportunity. Processing industries, a lot of our extractive resources are being exported in that form. And as everybody knows, as we've seen from oil and gas, even in recent time, where we are spending even more than what we make from selling crude on the export of finished products, and we're seeing shortages still in various parts of the country, it's obviously clear that we need to invest significantly in setting up processing industries in Nigeria so that the raw materials that are exploited here are also processed here, and the finished product are what we then export, because you earn more from finished product, and you also have the opportunity to create opportunities to increase purchasing power through the work people that are employed in the workforce in those processing industries. Then there is power. Nigeria today does not have, other than hydro, we do not have one grid level renewable energy plant. not one. So if you take out our hydro plants, all our other plants are gas, which is a transition energy, thermal plants. Meanwhile, Nigeria has a stated target that 30% of our power supply by the year 2030, which is in 8 years' time, would come from renewable. So what that means is that there is still an opportunity for people to come and make investment in the power sector. And this would also improve once the changes that are being contemplated to the Nigeria Electric Power Sector Reform Act comes into play. Right now, what we have is called the National Grid. So it's the grid that is managed at the federal level. But we have that would force government to break down those grids into smaller statewide or regional grids. And that would also provide significant opportunities for people to invest in the power sector. I've spoken about gas before. Technology is...
You have 1 extra minute, Mr. Aroge.
Yeah, technology is something everyone has spoken about. We now have three unicorns from Nigeria. That's the highest from any one African country. Mandela, Flutterwave, and PageStack. So Nigerians are doing significant work in technology, and the potential is enormous. There is everywhere you go on a daily basis, you find people that are pitching new technology products to you, and so and just looking for the opportunity and the resources to scale them up. So that's something that's also very, very key, an opportunity that exists in the country. In terms of threat, insecurity is still a threat in Nigeria. It's been managed to a reasonable extent, but that threat still remains. Then porous borders. We still haven't been able to manage how goods come into the country, how people come into the country. So that still is a significant threat. And then there is the AFCTA, which also is a threat. It's an opportunity, but it's a threat. And I say it can be a threat because if we don't scale up our own potential in Nigeria, we may end up as a dumping ground for goods from other parts of Africa if we don't take relevant opportunity, if we don't take advantage of the opportunities that are provided by the AFCTA. So Nigeria still has significant investment potential. I think that there are opportunities to do great things in Nigeria for the resilient one, for people who are focused on harnessing those opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Aroge. It is said that the one who speaks last in a conference is less privileged. What I have to admit is that those who had the patience to wait till now are privileged because they will have the opportunity to hear someone represent a company constituted a real success story, the second one after FMN Agroallied of Greek origin, about which we will hear a few things this evening. So I will give the floor to the man who is behind that success story, having working very hard for entering the Nigerian market for his company, the CEO of Metka Power West Africa, Mr. Vangelis Kamaris. Vangelis, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Yannis. I'll be very brief, obviously, because we're running late. So just to say that as Mytilineos Group, as Metka, we're not so big in Nigeria. We're very big in West Africa, but not in Nigeria. Obviously, FMN, Patterson Tsochonis, are much bigger. Just to say from our side that I have my connection to Nigeria is almost 15 years old. I spent, when I was a young, on my 27 years old, I spent 3 years in Nigeria working for Patterson Tsochonis, and all these 10 years that I worked for Mytilineos Metka, I've been traveling to Nigeria quite often. This is where my friend Baba Alakolaro was referring to. So yes, we just to say very few things, because yes, Nigeria is obviously the gatekeeper to Africa. This is what I keep saying myself, apart from the giant and all that, is the gatekeeper to Africa. If you manage to develop a business in Nigeria, you can develop business all over Sub-Saharan Africa. So it's a difficult terrain. It's a difficult terrain, but things are doable. Just like companies that we mentioned earlier, they managed to develop some business and they're sustainable for decades now. We also managed to deliver a few projects on the power sector in Nigeria, working in very complex parts of Nigeria in the north or southeast, and it was doable. I mean, we managed to deliver what we had to. Important to say for Nigeria, human capital, because it's important to state that we have, to give you an example, we have engineers Nigerian engineers in the country working for us that could work everywhere in the world. Human capital is quite precious in Nigeria, well-educated, intelligent people, and that means whoever decides to mobilize in the country will enjoy the support of very, very competent people. Is the country that we did our projects with far less expats than other countries. I mean, we had more Nigerians and a very few expats for complicated technology-wise projects. So human capital is there 100%. Challenges are always there. Power sector, yes. A rather messy situation in Nigeria for many years. So the whole power value chain is not sustainable. There have been some efforts to try and make things happen. However, still the problems with the power generation in Nigeria remains. Even a few days ago, you had some correct, Baba, I think I heard that for a couple of days you had quite big issues all over Nigeria. So this is the biggest challenge. Nigeria has a deficit of power, let's say close to 90 giga, just to say that the whole of Greece has around 10 or 11 giga installed capacity. So imagine the potential when the sector is reformed, the potential for power generation in the country, 90 to 95 giga, not to mention the construction infrastructure requirements. So the potential is 100% huge. Things are not easy. Things are not easy also in Greece, where we also have challenges in Greece. We have bureaucracy, we have back and forth. And as somebody, I can't remember who mentioned that, yes, traditionally, nobody has really lost its money in Nigeria. Whoever managed to do some business in Nigeria, nobody lost money. And this goes decades back, unless, as Mr. Alokolaro said, unless it's not legitimate or it was very opportunistic or whatever. And I close with this also, that I mentioned the word opportunistic. For any Greek company or any company in the world that would like to do some business in Nigeria, it should not, the mindset will not be opportunistic. You go to Nigeria on the long run, you develop your presence on the long run, you have a business plan for many years. The population, the size of the population, the potential is there. Whoever decides to do some business in Nigeria should look on a very long run and not just for 2 or 3 months or 1 year or 1 year and a half run away. This is how it works in Nigeria. And obviously always critical when you decide to do business in Nigeria to pick the right partners in all aspects. Spend a lot of time, physical presence in Nigeria before you make a final decision and investment decision or start exporting or whatever you do. Spend a lot of time in the markets, talk to the people, get familiar to the country, and things will happen positively.
Many thanks, Vangeli.
And one thing, because of Mr. Alokolaro, he did that. And Lagos is considered to be, it is said that Lagos, I don't know myself, probably he knows, has the best clubs in the whole sub-Saharan Africa.
So many thanks, Vangeli. I would say that your speech reflected that less is more. And we have now concluded the part related to presentations. Before giving the floor to the President of the Hellenic African Chamber, Mr. Moussouris, I would like to ask if we have very limited time. Is any question, just one question, I don't think we have more time. Any question from those who attended that conference? If not, allow me just to inform you that all the presentations can be found in our website, in the website of the Hellenic African Chamber, start, I think, within next week. Ms. Zaharaki, I'm right?
Yes.
Okay. Allow me to say that the Hellenic African Chamber has very limited resources, but it keeps hard strengthening the ties between Greece and African countries, and is doing its best to facilitate the Greek African trade and investments. I would like to thank you, all of you, in particular, their excellencies, the ambassadors, for having accepted to being with us today, all the speakers for their very interesting contributions, presentations, and all of you who have had the patience to wait till now for more than 2.5 hours. As I've told at the beginning, that is only the starting point of a communication channel, which I believe has opened between Greece and Nigeria. Mr. Moussouris, the floor is yours for some closing remarks.
Thank you, Yanis. It has been a very long and most informative, rich in the data webinar discussion, especially regarding the economy of Nigeria. And as you said, the PowerPoints, which I found extremely useful and very well designed, will be available along with the rest of the presentation in our website and need to be studied. Actually, I'm thinking of sending it also to the European Business Council for Africa. I see the head of the organization, Mr. Alexandros Pachis, among with us. And I
Hello, good evening. Good evening.
It will be useful for all the chambers of Europe that deal with Africa, I believe. You know, we are members of EPCAM. EPCAM is the European Business Council for Africa, where all the chambers relating to Africa are meeting regularly, and they are sort of advisors to the European.
I don't like that your gym is boring.
The one at the key.
Please switch off your microphone.
How?
Well, I will stop here. That the meeting.
Please switch off your microphone.
What makes it more exact? There are more people in your gym.
No, not even more people. Like there are a lot of.
Please, Mr. Moussouris, we cannot hear you. Please continue. You are on mute, Mr. Moussouris. You are on mute.
Well, I said that it was a long and informative and rich in data webinar, especially as far as the economy of Nigeria is concerned. And the PowerPoints, which were most useful and well designed, they will be in the website of the chamber. And I think they need to be studied. That's worthwhile. And I will send it to the European Business Council for Africa, which is organization of the chambers of European countries that deal with Sub-Africa. And we have here, as I said, Mr. Alexandros Pachis, who is the head of the organization based in Brussels. It is interesting because we saw in this discussion the dynamism and the humor also of Nigerian friends. And as I said to Baba, the politicians in the Greek parliament are mostly lawyers. And Yanni, you should not be surprised that a lawyer speaks like that. I was also a lawyer once, but I don't speak like that, unfortunately. The whole thing was impressive. And I want to thank very much Mr. Kamaris who was very central in organizing this meeting, and Ms. Zaharaki, Jen Zaharaki, who did all the work. And I want to thank again Yanni Vasardani, who has been the moderator. I hope that this will be followed by a mission to Africa, to Nigeria, where we will meet some of you there. And I want particularly to thank the ambassador of Nigeria in Greece and the ambassador of Greece to Nigeria for being with us. Thank you very much. See you soon again.
See you soon again. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.